What's up, Solutionaries? We here. Hey, yo, we're going to change the name of the show. We are officially changing the name of the show. The show is now the Maj Toure Show. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Maj Toure Show. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We talk about politics. We talk about culture. We talk about the bread and circuses. But we always going to turn it into a solution because we are solutionaries. What's up, everybody? Let me know where y'all from. If you are watching this on X.com, make sure you give us a repost. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give comments, super chats. We try to get 10 folks to give $20 worth of super chats, and that goes towards the work. If you are not aware of our work, Black Guns Matter, I'm the founder. Solutionary Lifestyle, I'm the founder. And give me 1 second, y'all. And the work that we do, the work. You are supporting the work. Firearms basics. See this right here? We got a, well, I ain't gonna show it because YouTube start tripping. Got a SIRT pistol right here. If you can't see it or not, right? We do firearms basics training. We do stop the bleed. We do conflict resolution. We do civics. We do understanding imminent threat. We make these in-person classes available to everyone because of your voluntary donations. And if 10 folks every night, we try to get $200, 5 times a week, that's $1,000. We try to get everybody to put towards the work. And if you can't do it that way, that little link down there, givesendgo.com/solutionary, that's where you support. Huge shouts to Pot of Gold Auctions. Had me up in Phoenix last weekend. Amazing. It was amazing down there. 100 degrees, literally, but it was great. And I mean 100 degrees dry heat. We had a great class down there at the range. It was amazing. We got Cleveland. We have, what is it? St. Louis. I'm excited for St. Louis. I might take a few days. I'm going to say take a few days off, but not really. I'm going to take a few days and go over to First Form, which is in St. Louis. See the team and the guys over there over at First Form. I'm probably going to just work out there the whole time. You know, and things of that nature. So huge shouts to everybody supporting the work is my point. And we're going to ask everybody to support the work tonight. Tonight, we're going to have a few people tap in. And we're going to try to have the stream talking about some issues. We the way that the show seems to be going is it's almost like there's back-to-back goofery. That's the new phrase that we came up with. It's almost like it's back-to-back goofery that some sort of politician does. And it ties in together. And some pundit does. And it ties in together. And it seems like all of these conversations, especially leading into the election, all seem to connect. Okay, if you've watched the Maj Toure show before, you know that yesterday we were talking about, you know, this over the last few days has been this chastisement of black men, Obama, yo, you're not getting behind Kamala the way that you got behind me, pause, right? And I wanted to hear from people that want to say why. We're going to play a quick video from Sunny Hostin. I think that's her name. Somebody told me she's from The View. I don't watch The View. I don't watch daytime television. I really enjoy a good show when it's a really, really good show, but I don't really watch, daytime television. If you guys are coming in, hit the like button. I want everybody to smash the like button. Help us out. Boost the algorithm. All right? Help us out. blessedtovr.com. blessedtovr.com. I think I'm saying that's .com. Thank you for that. Says thank you for what you do, Maj. I appreciate that tremendously for that super chat. We need 9 more, folks. 9 more at the $20 level. If you can give more, then great, cool. Appreciate you. And guys, also make sure that you name a website in your comments. You want to give me a shout out? That's great. I appreciate it. But also, if you know a small business, you know somebody doing some good community work or something like that, get them a shout in your super chat. It's very important. What's up, Bookworm? Bobby Baltimore says take some classes. Having a gun doesn't make you a patriot or a shooter. That's 1,000% true. You know what I'm saying? Everybody hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. Listen, guys, so I saw this video of Sunny hosting, and it's almost like the black people are being the racists that they say like everybody else is. And I mean the pundits. I seen a video of Lord Jamar. Dan Bongino reposted it. Shouts to Lord Jamar and the God podcast. I need to touch base with him again. But he was talking about something that how his homie went out to a Trump rally and they felt like very, very included and supported. And then the people that were the Trump protesters were like making them feel very, very like just crazy disrespectful. And I got a story about that, but I want to go into this video, and we're seeing what looks like a disdain for black men making their own political, decisions. Like somehow we don't have a rich tradition of conservative values in America. Like most black people, which would include black men, are in the South. Like Mississippi has the largest concentration of black people in America. Okay. And so there's a lot of people in the South that have very conservative political leaning values. The Republican Party was started out of that same vein. Now, that wasn't in the South, the creation of it. But my point here is, this like Roland Martin, Plies, Luke, and social media influencers like getting trotted out there. I want to know what y'all think about that. Like, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just sensitive. I'm a sensitive soul. You know what I'm saying? I'm a sensitive soul. So maybe it's just Maj being triggered. But I want to hear you guys' perspective. But let's look at this video right here. Let's check it out real quick, guys. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm straight here. I'm doing all of this new shit, guys. It's technologically advanced shit.
But, we can't poll people's hearts, and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. I don't know what their hearts look like, but I know what their votes look like.
But I'm not talking just, I'm not speaking to people's hearts, and I am sunshine and rainbows, but I'm not Pollyanna in this world. What I'm speaking to is when you resonate with someone's heart, and Kamala has a good heart. Alyssa and I were speaking after she was here, and one thing Alyssa finished with is, regardless of how someone answers the questions or how they perform or how they navigate it, her empathy resonates. She is a good person at the end of the day. So what I'm saying is I do trust the good in humanity in how they vote. When you look at stop putting on black and white policy and paper. Like, what does this stand?
Oh, stop putting on. Guys, this is the same thing we were talking about yesterday. Before we go, we're going to work our way backwards because I don't know who the blonde chick was. And I barely know the Sunny Houston chick, Hostin, whatever her name is, right? I don't watch that. I'm not like a soccer mom, right? Or soccer dad, because I don't want to disparage anybody. My point here is, let's work backwards. Homegirl said, and this is what we were talking about yesterday with the love letter with Van Jones. Everybody wants to not make it be about politics. She just said, stop making it black and white, putting it on policy, like on paper. That means stop having a contractual obligation. Let's talk about the empathy and the feelings. Now, you guys know with the solutionary approach, we lead with empathy to give a person an understanding that we care. Right? It's 3 steps to the solutionary lifestyle: empathy, facts, and then the solution. If I give you facts before you know that I care at all, it's cold. Facts are cold. So I see the point in empathy. I want to be very clear. But it's not about using empathy to avoid facts and avoid coming up with the solution. This constant theme of getting you emotionally riled up and make you think about some shit that is based on your feeling, not the facts. This lady just said, let's not make it black and white. Let's not write it down. Maybe I'm tripping. Did I say, let's play it again? I'm going to play it again. I'm going to start with her part first, then we're going to hit the rewind.
But, we can't.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's see what she's saying.
To is when you resonate with someone's heart, and Kamala has a good heart. Alyssa and I were speaking after she was here, and one thing Alyssa finished with is, regardless of how someone answers the questions or how they perform or how they navigate it, her empathy resonates. She is a good person at the end of the day. So what I'm saying is I do trust the good in humanity in how they vote.
Yo, wait, I gotta stop, yo. Regardless of how they answer the question, regardless of how they perform, I want y'all to listen to these things that these goofballs with these people on these shows say. Regardless of my Jewish friends said in their belief system, they don't really measure, the intent don't matter as much as what happened. What did you do? And I can understand it. I'm also a person that understands the intent. I see both sides of it, right? But when you're telling people, a lot of people watch these shows. I didn't know that. A lot of people watch this shit. Okay? When you have somebody saying, don't worry about the outcome, don't worry about how you perform, don't worry about the policy of it, what was your feeling about it? That's wild. And to Bobby's point, her empathy isn't genuine. It's not. You can't even gauge her empathy because she changes what she is. This is where this Alex Jones lizard people chameleon shit comes in. She goes to a different room. She changes how she looks. She changes how she talks. She changes what she says. All of that. So how could you even get a baseline on somebody's empathy that changes every single time they turn around? But then you fall for it. Okay, I'm going to assume that this blonde lady right here, somebody tell me what her name is. I don't know. Not Sunny Holston, not her. But the lady that's just speaking, right? I don't know her name. I'm not saying this to be rude or sexist or chauvinist or anything like that, right? I respect all humans. With that being, and it's not facetious neither, because I think sometimes people be a little bit sarcastic unnecessarily. And that's not my thing. I just don't watch the show. But anyway, let's say if she genuinely believes that, you got duped. She can believe that. However, in her feelings world, that's not how the actual world works. Okay? It's just not. It's just not. This is an interesting perspective. Xavier Basurto, 777, says, voting isn't real. It's a show to decide what they will do with the colonizers. That's an interesting take. I can see both sides of that. Right? Brick Squared says, feelings can't fill people's stomachs. And I agree with that as well. Like, let's play it again. Let's play some more.
When you look at stop putting on black and white policy and paper. Like, what does this stand?
Oh, wait, hold up. Let me start over.
But, we can't poll people's hearts and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women.
Why do you have to reach those women? Why? Why do you have to reach these people's feet? Like, why? They've made a decision. This is like this weirdo, like almost like a missionary. Like, I got to go over there and convert the people. No, you don't. You can. But if they've made that decision, what do you mean when you say reach those people? Reach them to make them say, hey, you should not be voting for this person? Based on what? Oh, feelings and empathy, not policy and economics. Like, that's just weird to me. It's legit. And as much as I hate using leftist language, it works. It's really some colonizer shit. When I'm telling somebody I want to give them some information that they can make an assessment based on. If I teach you a magazine well, site alignment, front sight, rear sight, trigger press, sight picture, don't disturb the sight picture, that's giving you something that you can add a tool to your tool belt, right? That's not me telling you you have to have a firearm, okay? I don't have the classes. If you want to come to these classes, they're free. If you want to pay it forward for somebody, it's there. We see and can explain the importance of you having the means and the tools and the skill set to defend themselves. But I'm not going to proselytize you or chastise you because you don't want to have a firearm. I'm just not. So I don't have to reach you. I only have to reach the people that are placed in a scenario where, like Chicago, ironically, there's no gun ranges. Hey, can we teach the folks there that want to learn? Okay? It's just wild. We got to reach them. But we got to reach the... And how come nobody's attacking these white... She said 53% white women. Where is the disrespect for the white women that want to vote for Trump? I mean, if we're keeping it nice and equal, right? But let's play some more.
We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. I don't know what their hearts look like, but I know what their votes look like.
But I'm not talking, I'm not speaking to people's hearts.
So if you don't know what their heart's like, why are you calling them ridiculous black men? And if you're just tapping in, we talking about like what's going on? What is this disdain for black men? And it's like almost low key, like the pendulum has already weirdly 180'd, and it seems to be like liberal white women for the most part, or liberal white men. None of my blue collar, hardworking white homies would even think to like Even if they said some like hardcore jokes and dissing people, oh, you, whatever, guap, this, bop, 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 even if back and forth with that, right? None of my white, solid male dudes are like, we got to reach those guys. They're like, yo, if that's what you want to do, if you ask me, I'll tell you. What is going on? Why are these people in this spotlight where they just like, yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. We got to reach the crazy blacks. It's wild to me. Let me play this a little bit more.
And I am sunshine and rainbows, but I'm not Pollyanna in this world. What I'm speaking to is when you resonate with someone's heart, and Kamala has a good heart. Alyssa and I were speaking after she was here, and one thing Alyssa finished with is, regardless of how someone answers the questions or how they perform or how they navigate it, her empathy resonates. She is a good person at the end of the day. So what I'm saying is I do trust the good in humanity in how they vote. When you look at stop putting on black and white policy and paper. Like, what does this stand?
Guys, that's wild. That's wild. You got to be very careful with these daytime television shows or anybody influencing you. There's a great movie called Inception. Before you know it, you could put something in somebody's mind. And they'll start to think, if you do it right, they'll think that it's like their own thought. Okay? It's just what it is. And I like, there's no way of getting around it. And I don't know if these people are high level, like witches and warlocks that's explaining it that way. Right? I don't know. Or they just really, really believe that we have to help these people that somehow have not reached a decision of, on this thing of their own. And I want to hear from y'all. Do we think that that's a winning strategy? Do y'all legitimately think that like the strategy of like, yo, we're going to say this particular thing to black people this way, and it's an effective strategy? I want to bring our brother up to the stage. Our first of a few folks that may tap in tonight. Adrian Norman is a writer, is a thinker, if you guys may have noticed a few years ago, he was on the CPAC panel that we had. And it was along these same lines, right? But I want to bring the brother to the stage and like, let's get male's perspectives on this. Yo, A, what's up?
What's good, man? How you doing, bro?
What's up? Everybody can see A, or is it coming through like truncated? How's it look on your end, A? It look good?
I'm good. Yeah.
All right, cool. It might just be me on my end. What's going on, bro? Like, what is first, let the folks know who you are. Let them know who you write for. Let them know what you do. What exactly is the fuck going on, bro? What is going on? Like, what is happening?
So I missed the first part of the broadcast. So like, when you say what's happening, what do you mean specifically?
When it comes more specifically to, I'm gonna play it again. Matter of fact, I'm gonna play it real quick. I'm gonna play this real quick, and I want you to tell me your perspective on this.
But, we can't poll people's hearts, and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. I don't know what their hearts look like, but I know what their votes look like.
But I'm not talking just, I'm not speaking to people's hearts, and I am sunshine and rainbows, but I am not Pollyanna in this world. What I'm speaking to is when you resonate with someone's heart, and Kamala has a good heart. Alyssa and I were speaking after she was here, and one thing Alyssa finished with is, regardless of how someone answers the questions or how they perform or how they navigate it, her empathy resonates. She is a good person at the end of the day. So what I'm saying is I do trust the good in humanity in how they vote. When you look at stop putting on black and white policy and paper. Like, what does this stand?
Okay. We're going to start with the Sonny.
Crazy black men.
Yeah.
For not voting for the Democrat Party.
Yeah. What is that? Maybe that's the strategy that's going to like get them over the top. Maybe because I look at too many polls and I stop tapping into the polls, because in my mind they all could just tell you a different thing. I how to lie with statistics and data over there. So I know how that polling game could play.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm missing it, but do you think it's going to work? Is it working in the favor of Harris, the Democrats? Like, what's your thoughts on it?
I don't think it's a strategy. I think it's lashing out. It's anger. It is it's how somebody behaves when they lose control of somebody. Like if you have an abusive spouse and their wife finally decides to either leave them or starts taking steps to become financially free so that they're disentangled from that situation, and then the other person, the abusive spouse, lashes out and starts treating them foul, and that's sort of what it is, right? Yeah. They've had control over the black demographic, both men and women, since for the last 100 years, right? And then now they're getting incredibly upset with the fact that even more of us are beginning to see the party for what it is and walk away and start making our own decisions and say, hey, even if we don't support Trump, even if it's Jill Stein, even if people sit back and stay home and don't vote at all, Democrats are losing that support. And I think at this point in time, it's easy to see why. And I think immigration is driving a big portion of that. So right now, if we look at cities like Chicago, where there have been a flood of illegal aliens into the city, scooping up resources, you got people sleeping in the airport, sleeping in the police station, getting priority for housing and shelter. They're getting free insurance. They're getting these prepaid cards with money loaded on them. You got the mayor, Brandon Johnson. He's one of 5 Democratic mayors who petitioned the Biden administration for $5 billion with a B, so that they can address this crisis that was a self-inflicted wound. Because this was caused by policy. This didn't happen under the Trump administration, right?
Yeah.
So we got all of these people flooded into this area that's densely populated with African Americans, and people have been hurting. People have been experiencing food deserts. People have high crime, and they've wanted the government to step in and do something for them for all these years, and they've done absolutely nothing. But you come across the border illegally, you get kicked to the front of the line. So people are pissed off, and rightly so. So there's never been a better time to see exactly how the Democratic Party, because Chicago, just sticking with this example, it's one party rule. It's been one party rule since 1931. So
what do you think is causing that shift? Is it just all of this at once, or meaning black men's perspective to go, I can't really do it, bro? Has it in your perspective, has it been an underlie the whole time, and dudes was just like, well, I'm gonna vote this way, but my thought process is this way? What is making that shift where it seems like more men are being more vocal, black men are being more vocal and saying, absolutely not, I can't rock? Because it's so obvious. You got people getting shot every day. You got people that can't pay their mortgage notes, that can't pay their rent, that are asking for help, and they're not getting help. But people who aren't even supposed to be here, again, are getting money loaded on cards. They're getting priority housing. They're getting priority insurance. They're getting to access the education system for free. There's schools that teach 20, 30 different languages in these schools now. So it's just never it's bubbled up to the surface, right? It's sort of been happening over the last, decade or so, a slow shift. We saw in 2016 when Trump was first elected, roughly 12% of black men voted for him. And in 2020, I think internal polling showed that number for black men was actually up at about 24%. I was told by somebody connected to the campaign. I'm not sure if that was public, but who cares? It's 4 years later. So it should be even higher. So it's been trending this way for a long time. But when it becomes so obvious that the people who are supposed to be looking out for your interests, who were like I think it was Sonny Austin on the clip, said, you're stupid, stupid black men for wanting to make different decisions. It just shows their disdain for you, their disrespect for you, and the lack of you being a priority for them. And it's just a thumb in the nose to all of us. Yeah. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to make sure that you follow our brother, Adrian. I refer to him as the poor man's Tay Diggs. That's my brother, and he's a very, very principled, supportive, positive, and he's done work at the Solutionary Center. So I want y'all to make sure that you follow him on social media. Who do you write for, and how can folks follow you, my brother?
I was writing for Timcast. I am now independent. I'm no longer with Timcast as of last week. But you can still follow me on all my socials, so everything else stays the same. So whether that be Instagram, whether that be X, which is formerly Twitter, Facebook, it's all Adrian Norman DC. YouTube is just Adrian Norman. So I'm not hard to find.
Absolutely. Thank you for tapping in, my brother, and giving perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
For sure. Peace. Solutionaries. We got a few folks that's going to tap in. I want to bring somebody else to the stage. This brother has been very, very instrumental as well. And matter of fact, here y'all go. Here's Adrian's YouTube channel right there, guys. If you're watching this on X, you can follow Adrian there on his YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe to the people that are logical. Okay? Subscribe to the folks that are logical. It makes sense. Actually, you know what? Hey, if you're still in here, let's get everybody to stay on, actually. I think that makes more sense. Let's add more folks as they jump in. I'm gonna learn. I don't know if A's still tapped out completely or whatever, but if y'all might have differing viewpoints and stuff like that. But I want to bring the business bully to the stage, our brother Dave. What's up, bro?
Man, I'm trying to be like you when I grow up, good brother. How are you?
What's up with you?
Man, everything is beautiful, man. On my way home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I promised you a tap in, so I wanted to make sure I tapped in with you so we can have this conversation.
For sure. Let me ask you this, man. Mm-hmm. What is happening? Is this a winning strategy? I'm going to ask everybody the same question. And you know, I think in moving forward, anybody else that jumps in, I think we're just going to keep them on the space. If you're still here, jump back in if you can. I just don't want to monopolize anybody's time. Yeah. Adrian was kind of talking about the shift has been happening for some time now. Mm-hmm. More black men are just being a little bit more vocal about it. From your perspective, is that accurate? And why now? What is happening? Because again, the Chicago example that he gave is 100% accurate, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe in Chicago, maybe even in Aurora, Colorado, where there's Venezuelan gangs taking over whole buildings and shit.
Right.
Sidebar. I cringe sometimes, and I'm sad that type of shit never happens to me. Like, there's never a gang of people that attempt to try that shit anywhere. I don't know, man. It seems bold in Chicago, but like Philly, they definitely not doing that shit.
Nah, you're not coming over here with this.
What do you think?
I think, Maj, to be 100% honest with you, this comes down to one very simple thing. We're not being respected, and we're past the pandering. Right? When I was a kid, I saw Bill Clinton on the Arsenio Hall show, and I was like, yo, I don't know who this dude is, but he's showing up playing the sax and Arsenio rocking with him. He must be dope. I wasn't old enough to vote, so I was thinking as a child. When I became a man, I saw in 2004 during the DNC, they had a brother come up there, and he was like, you know, my father's from Kenya and my mother's from Kansas, and I was raised in Hawaii and only in America, and yes, we can. I said, oh, I mean, that dude's got something. Why ain't he running? Because John Kerry boring his piss, you know? And then 4 years later, he starts running. I'm like, yo, this is early. He's running? He gonna run against Hillary Clinton? He could beat Hillary Clinton? Yeah. Oh, snap. Hope, change. You know what I'm saying? And then when I met him, I was like, oh, this dude is dope. I really like him. And then I'm like, okay, we got him in. But for the first 4 years, we're going to let him chill, because you can't just go in there and start, you the first one. Like, you know, you might be the last one. Let's give him some latitude. So 4 years roll by, he becomes a lame duck, and still you're looking at Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland. I don't have that many fingers. And all we got was, it could have been my son. Then, even if you rewind back to his first term, he wasn't in the office for a year when Skip Gates broke into his own house because he locked his keys out, or locked himself out and didn't have the keys. And the cop ran up on him and hemmed him up. And then Obama said, well, yeah, that cop acted stupidly. Whoever is running Obama said, you need to sit down and apologize to that cop and have a beer summit with all of y'all. Which tells me for the first time that the leader of the free world was not the leader of the free world. Now, the play is, we're going to pander to you. Nothing is changing. The economy is trash. Your streets are trash. The only thing that looks good in most of our neighborhoods are the liquor stores, the hash bars, and the churches. Right? We have not had any improvement in our education system. In Baltimore, they can't even produce one student who reads a grade level. In Philadelphia, we are struggling to have any type of reconciliation with the segregation that happens educationally, because if you go into, densely populated white areas in Philadelphia, they got computer labs, they've got skill centers, they're still doing home ec, they know how to balance a checkbook. Go to Martin Luther King High School.
None of that.
Yeah, I mean, go to any one of these schools where it's a bunch of people who look like you and I, and then you want to tell people to go ahead and educate yourself, right? You keep talking about we're the greatest country in the world, and we're going to show everybody the beauty of democracy, but you don't have money to take care of your poor. You don't have money to take care of your veterans, many of whom looks like you and I. You don't have money to eradicate homelessness, which would cost, less than $20 billion, allegedly, depending on who you ask or what economists you believe in. But
right.
you can give Ukraine all of this money.
Right.
You can fix Notre Dame. You can give money to Ukraine. You can go take care of Asian people. But when it comes to black people, all we get is, well, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something only just for black people. No. But then
Right.
you lied and tell Al Sharpton that you are going to do something for reparations. And then when you sit down with Charlemagne, who's a friend of mine, you say, well, yeah, no, it definitely needs to be studied. How much studying are we going to do? Like pop quiz, you're failing. What are we getting for it? And doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results is tantamount to insanity. Plus, last I checked, if you're taking my tax dollars and your tax dollars and you're giving it to people who have never paid into the tax system, you're basically taking care of them. So you're representing them, not us, which means it's taxation without representation for our interests. I have a problem with that.
Do you think that the general public knows what you just broke down eloquently, or is it more of a gut feel? Is it more of a, the Matrix? Like I don't know exactly what the Matrix is, but this just don't feel right.
We've been black all our lives. We have people in our families who might not be the most literate, might not be the most socially conscious, but they do know BS when they see it. And if you can't answer very simple questions, if you hide out like you're an 80-year-old man in your basement, like he did 4 years ago, and you're not answering any heavy-hitting questions up until about 23 hours ago, something's wrong there, right? We know that even the most ignorant of us know that there's something not quite right about this situation, not necessarily about the vice president. There's no disrespect to her, but there is something going on that does not seem right. Why is it if a president drops out of running for re-election, you don't easily have a runoff? They did it when the governor of California dropped out for whatever reason, and they had to have a runoff. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Gary Coleman, and Nicole Smith, they all ran for governor. Why didn't that happen? Even Barack said, we need to wait to the convention, and then we know that the process will produce a viable candidate.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everybody just fell in line behind this. Something's wrong. And then when you look at what happened in Chicago, not only the mobile abortion clinics are blocked down the street, but the fact that you had millions of dollars in skyboxes being rented, but you the party for the people? You're going to take care of the people, and then everything that you say you're going to do or have done didn't even come from you. No taxes on tip was a Trump thing. $35 insulin was a Trump thing, and that's documented. This is not me advocating for Trump. I'm just stating facts. We know that this does not feel right, and it's never felt more wrong than it has right now. And I think we're sick of it because right now, Maj, when you compare 2017 to 2021 versus 2021 to 2024, the one thing that we know is we now have more month at the end of the money. I just filled up my truck and it cost me almost double what it did 4 years ago. I have a daughter, I have a family, I got an adult child. So I understand the cost of groceries. I understand that everything is going up. I know what rent looks like. I know what tuition looks like, and we're not getting any return on this investment that is taken from us from the I, the R, and the S. So I think we're aware on some level.
I want to add our next brother into the conversation. I would be remiss, Adrian, if you're still around, man. I didn't know if Adrian, listen, and anybody can tap out whenever they want, but I want to make sure that we have a panel, so to speak, of folks that can speak to some of these issues and questions, because all I'm seeing is the people that's tapping in, that's getting the microphone thrown in front of their face that nobody in our communities, like, honestly fucking listens to. And so our next brother that we're going to bring up to the panel right now is our good brother that's about to be running things over there in the great state of Minnesota, Royce White. What's up, brother? How are you?
God willing. How you doing, brother?
No doubt.
Good, good, man.
All right.
Good.
So I don't know how much you saw, but we went back to the video. We seeing Sonny. What her name is, Houston. I'm stuck almost in saying Houston. I want to say it, but basically, hey, those crazy black men that are going to vote for Trump. We got to reach those guys. We're seeing the Plies of the world. We're seeing Van Jones damn near ready to cry again. And we did some content on that yesterday. And ironically, Trump just did something on Patrick Bet-David's platform. I think it came out today. But nonetheless, he talked about Van Jones kind of snaking him a little bit after he asked him for the criminal justice reform thing. But saying all of this to say, those crazy, ridiculous black men that want to vote for Trump, other than the black men that are, tap dancing, insecure, weak, right? Because that's what I'm seeing. So I wanted to put together a panel of sorts of people that I respected. But I want to hear from your perspective real quick, Royce. Like, has this actually been helping the Democrats? And do you feel the Republican Party offers better alternatives for black men? Or is this more about the frustration with the Democratic Party?
Well, damn. Good opening question there. I'll start by saying this. The Democrat Party can only offer black men death and debt because it's the only thing they have to offer any of their constituents. They have a fundamental crisis in their platform, and the crisis is the Democrat liberal order that we live under, or we've been living under since World War II, is built on a fundamental of death and debt. It's a death and debt society, a death and debt economy, and this is what they have to try and preserve. So there's no way for them to offer black men anything other than that. The kicker is the reason why black men, I think, rightfully feel so betrayed and manipulated and exploited and used is because they use black men as the linchpin of their political propaganda. And it's funny. You take liberal white women, for example. I'm here in Minnesota. It's a very liberal place. Technically, we're a purple state in terms of split between Republican and Democrat, but it's a very liberal culture. And it's on the heart of the BLM movement, George Floyd. We're going to mix the trans activism with the black activism type of deal. And you got liberal white women saying the police are the KKK. The KKK are afoot. Give up your guns and call the police when the KKK show up. I mean, it's just it's a walking contradiction is what I'm saying. And I will say, I always tell people I'm the Republican nominee, first black person to be endorsed to run for United States Senate by either major party, or to be nominated to run for United States Senate by either major party in the history of the state of Minnesota. And I tell people all the time, I'm not telling you to vote Republican blind because I'm running as a Republican or because I'm in the Republican Party. I'm telling black men, you have to become an independent political entity and address both parties and candidates individually on the merit of what their ideas are and what they're proposing policy-wise. What I can say fundamentally, from a philosophical standpoint about the two parties, one party invites the infinite expansion of the federal government. The other party at least says that they want to curb the expansion of the federal government, even though they don't live up to that all the time, as you and I very well know. But at least from a philosophical standpoint, the Republican Party is rooted in the idea that we want to shrink the government down. Black people have to decide in this country whether or not that's something that they understand and find valuable. I think it is, and we can talk about why, but that's why I decided to run as Republican, because the fundamental ideology is based on an idea of smaller government. We know the government's corrupt. We know they mess stuff up more than they fix things. And right now it's the government's too big to be anything to be something other than a boot on the neck of the American working class and middle class.
Do you think that portrayal, because I happen to agree. Now, obviously, everybody knows I'm a libertarian. Most people may not know. Amen. Obviously, I was raised, Democrat, Philly, right? Blue city, blue collar, but it's weird because the values, as we all know, the values in the city as it relates to what is happening in the household outside of what's being propagandized, at least when I was growing up, was very conservative. But then became Republican for a few years, and then went to Libertarian because I couldn't see it happening in Philadelphia. This is before I started traveling much more often. But anyway, that picture of that you just painted of this seems to be more in alignment and with my prosperity and my productivity. I agree with that from a Republican limited government standpoint. Mm-hmm. For some reason, though, this is a hot button topic right now because there's been such an entrenched stranglehold on the mind of that. I want maybe both of you to speak to, is that because the portrayal of black Democrat men in media, is that what's influencing that voting pattern? Because again, the wake up, I'm agreeing, and the left, like these pundits, are not doing themselves any favors when they say, you better get back in line with the chastising like we fucking owe you something, right?
Right.
But by and large, that voting pattern, even though it's been chipping away, is generally the same. Do y'all both think that, I'll go to you, Dave, and then back to you, Royce. Yeah. Do you think the black portrayal of black men in democratic narratives is what's making that stranglehold on that lever pull stay overwhelmingly Democrat?
I think the majority of human beings, regardless of their color or political affiliation, tend to be sheep. Most people don't have the fortitude to be leaders, right? Mm. And on top of that, when you look at our community specifically, generally speaking, because I got to be careful because not all police will come and get me. A lot of the folks from our generation and the generations after us have been raised by women who believe in growing the next crop of beta male simp manginas. So when you see beta male simp mangina energy, crying Van Jones, you're going to see, they're going to get behind this sister and protect this sister. I'm like, bro, when the last time you got a whiff of a sister, your good brother? Like, when's the last time, right? Then you look at Roland Martin, who is not only a tether, but is somebody who does not represent anything that looks like manhood to anyone, has not done anything significant other than run his mouth and put people down who are on their way up. He literally disrespected a 21-year-old kid for taking his own money and starting a school in less time than Dr. Umar Johnson has done. And that's no diss to Dr. Umar, I'm stating statistical facts. But you're telling him he's wrong for using the term do for self, which tells me that you're not even aligned with what the real manhood part of the black community believes. And whether we are with the Nation of Islam or not, we do respect the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we also respect Farrakhan. So when you sit up here and have an issue with the term do for self, you're telling us that you want us under the government's thumb. And then you look at how many of these folks are boule and bought and paid for. Yeah, I expect the majority of us to still vote blue no matter who, because number one, they're beta, and number two, they don't know anything other than that, and they're so afraid that only racism exists with the elephants and it doesn't exist with the jackasses.
Royce, your thoughts on it? I'm gonna jump in between. I personally think that it isn't a lost cause, and I'm not saying you're completely writing it off, but I don't think that it's forever. I think that with the advent of technology and the speed of information and the speed with which you could debunk something, like now it's a certain point where, like, if we use Trump for example, because obviously media is like, hey, chop and screw everything that he says, right? It used to be, a year or so before the truth would come out about, I don't mean the white supremacists. They're not fine people. They should be condemned. It takes a year for that to come out. Now, once a podcast is out and Fox or CNN, whoever, tries to chop that up, I think the speed of the phone kind of presents a different challenge for that narrative to stay incorrect. But I'd like to hear your perspective on it, Royce. Is this portrayal of the black Democratic man, and in order for you to be a man, you got to be sensitive and you got to cry, and is that weighing on us? Is that weighing on us?
Oh no, that is the catalyst. There's no doubt about it. There, when you go down to the deepest divide culturally or politically, socially, there is no greater natural divide in a society than the differences between men and women, the biological differences, the spiritual differences, so on and so forth. And the trend line of our mainstream political culture is to prioritize women and feminist sort of ideology, which has been coupled with the LGBTQ and a sort of we are the world, don't have a baby because the climate is in crisis. We're going to stop having human children because of climate change, right? I mean, it's completely anti-human, and my point is traditionally black men have found comfort over on that side of things, but as that movement has developed, it has started to target black men as well, and the sort of basic masculinity of black men that is outside of political context. I mean, it's all political in its context, but what I'm saying is the ideology of the feminist movement has gotten so profound that even a black man who's not very involved in politics feels the hostility sitting in his home when a Sonny Hostin in The View, go on live television in front of a female panel and female audience and say, men are useless, and they joke about it. I mean, you don't even have to be involved in politics as a black man to feel the hostility, building up from the feminist culture.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on that, bro. The thing that kills me is that The View in and of itself, like the version that exists now, Barbara Walters would be rolling in her grave if she knew what was happening, because the entirety of that show was to bring women from all different walks of life and had different point of views. They have a bunch of rhinos up there and a bunch of old big back biddies that don't nobody want, telling you that there's something wrong. You're trying to force Usher into endorsing Kamala. You're trying to force Charlemagne into endorsing Kamala. And then, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be funny, but the day that I allow a dude with a business degree whose biggest claim to fame is Bust It Baby to tell me how I should vote, yo, please come chop off my lower extremities and then sign me up to for my rainbow flag, because there's no way.
Look, so I want y'all to know that what he's talking about is Plies, real quick. Huge shouts to everybody that's tapping in. I want everybody to get the likes up. Listen, these brothers are going to be here until they can't be here anymore. So I want y'all to make sure you're asking questions, engage. Make sure you're following and supporting Royce's run, okay? This ain't just, oh, well, I don't live in Minnesota. Get behind the people that are speaking the language that you say you want. All right. You say you want a public servant. I ran for city council. That was a super local election. It was some of the most draining time of my life. My point in saying that is, don't just say, oh, I don't live in Minnesota. You can donate, you can support, you can get behind the people, because then we create a groundswell of folks that say, well, I'll try it next and I'll continue to go that way, as well as follow the business bully. If you need information, if you need classes, if you need coaching, get behind the people that are saying, yo, I text these brothers today. I want to be very clear. And they say, oh, boom, I'm in. Okay. Adrian Norman, who tapped out. I didn't want to keep his time, but he's a good dude. My point in saying this, y'all, if y'all coming in here, support, respect the house, respect the folks that are guests in the house, and make sure that we treat them like they family, because they have to speak for us. Because to both of the brothers' points, a lot of the men that may view these things the way that we do are just generally very quiet and neutered about the whole situation. And Plies is a loud one. I went back and forth with him a bit. I promise y'all, I didn't anticipate the interview that I did a few weeks ago with I Never Knew TV. I didn't expect somebody to chop that up and for it to go viral. Plies done blocked me on X, so I can't, I can't not only get behind somebody like that, but I also have to work better at not making fun of these people, because they still Americans, they still humans, and I think they just clowns, and once they take the clown nose and the clown shoes off, then it'll be a little bit different. I want to ask you both something along these lines, and I'll go to you, Royce, first, and then back to you, Dave. Mm-hmm. We all agree that black men are leaving this so-called Democratic plantation. We know that. We've seen it. Time has been happening. It's been going on. What do you both think is more of the factor, the economic opportunities or the social issues? Which one of those is the priority or a deciding factor for some of our men going like, yeah, I can't really, is it the LGBTQ plus LZY whatever letter thing? Or is it the Yeah, y'all got our bread all the way tight. So which one do y'all think it is? I'll go to you, Royce, and then back to Dave.
I just wanted to say something first about my Senate race. People got to understand the United States Senate is the most important political body in this country. There's only 100 United States senators, and no legislation gets passed without those people signing on the dotted line. And even furthermore, if you're America First or MAGA, or you don't believe in sending our money to fight some foreign war we can't win, I'm under no illusions. As you spoke about earlier, the Republican Party is a viable option. I'm under no illusions that the United States Senate is actually capable of passing America First legislation right now. There are 10 America First senators in that chamber across the aisle. What needs to happen is we need to slow the omnibuses down. That's why I decided to run for Senate. We need somebody who's going to stand up there and filibuster so we don't pass this omnibus legislation. But to your point, I, I'm not sure which one it is. I would always default to the social is probably more prevalent because it's more immediate. It's always in your face. You know, the social forces are usually more powerful than the economic forces. I say that because most black folks in this country, just statistically speaking, live in a way economically where they're going to have to make rent no matter what the rise or dip of inflation is. So for a lot of them, it's not even worth really, you know, putting too much stock into that, right?
Yeah.
And so when Joy Ann Reid said black men didn't even know the word inflation before Republicans started saying it, there's some truth to that, right? I mean, it was wrong for her to say because her bourgeois ass is the one who was in the universities with her other liberal co-conspirators, not teaching young black men about
Right.
economics. So it's inappropriate for her to say it, but it is true that you know, we live in that sort of check to check, month to month. The rise and dip of inflation isn't the first thing on our mind, but the attack on masculinity and recently, more recently, the pushing of the LGBTQ on us as men, but also on our children, is something people are, especially because it's been so proliferated on social media and on mainstream television. Those are places that we have been people who are jacked into content and media and people who drove culture. And now we're seeing our icons time and time again be tore down if they don't toe the right line on the LGBTQ issue. And that drives a lot of what our communities are about. But I'll say this before I pass the mic. Um, Neither one of those issues are what black men should be leaving for. Black men have to leave the Democrat Party, become independent, and vote in their own interests through a political understanding that expands far beyond those issues. And I say it, and people go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I go, "This the only thing you need to fucking be worried about, and the one word you need to be worried about is globalism. You should say that motherfucker 3 times like Beetlejuice." Right? You may not be interested in globalism, but I assure you, it is very interested in you. And the international rules based order that we live under has failed. It's failed in dramatic fashion. It's failed black people, but it's failed all American people. And the root cause of it is, you know, in Maj, you know this, you study history as much as anybody. The whole narrative was after World War II, we're going to go around the world and bring people freedom and democracy by peace through strength and make them all self-determining. We didn't make anybody self-determining. We've made them all welfare states. And the welfare state pilot that we've run in the black community is the welfare state pilot we've now expanded to the entire global economy. And when you have a welfare state like that, you are guaranteed inflation. You are guaranteed debt and you are guaranteed war. And in that guarantee, there's no scenario where black men are thriving, small business owners own their house or a couple properties or have some small farms that have self-sustaining food systems. You are going to become a permanent ward of an ever-expanding government, not only here in this country, but to the entire world. And eventually, they're going to say, you know what, the economy's so bad because we fought so many wars we couldn't fund. The only answer for you is universal basic income. This is really the dividing line. Do you want to move towards universal basic income where the government is solely responsible for whether you eat or not? Or do you want to move back towards self governance You can't have universal basic income and self-governance. The Democrats are obviously the party that's pushing universal basic income, or at least trending in that direction. The Republican Party should be, except for the Liz Cheneys and the Dick Cheneys and the Romneys and the usual neocon rhino bunch who we don't like, the Bushes, the Bush junta. But the MAGA movement, the America First movement, is like, let's get back to some real genuine independence and citizenship. And that's what we should be looking for. At least from there, we can fight our own battles. We can build our own businesses. We can educate with some input in our schools locally. We have a foot to stand on if we are governing ourselves. But if we go to universal basic income, you will be taking an experimental vaccine. You will have a social credit score and vaccine passport. You will be told, we're not giving you your monthly universal basic income if you got too many kids, because you're a drag on the climate, right? These things are so antithetical to what Black communities are about. We just don't know how bad it is yet ideologically. We're still caught up in well, they told me my hair is acceptable and pretty in the workplace, even though it's nappy as hell. Right. We still think of that as the politics. We don't see, we don't read up on the white papers where they're saying, basically, I'll give you one example. Then I'm passing the mic. I apologize. You know how I get. But Bill Gates was asked about depopulation. And his response was, it looks like population globally is going to peak at about 10 billion. I think we can handle that. The real issue is population that's growing rapidly in countries where they can't sustain it. And they cut away to a list of countries, and they were all African and Arab countries, every last one of them. So, I mean, that's what these people have. So if you're a Black person in this country and you think Bill Gates is your friend, you have completely checked out from the reality you're living in. And I feel bad for you. I'm just going to try and keep educating.
Dave.
Okay. First things first. I'm at a point now where I'm not going to sit up here and act like it is okay for us to just sit this one out. And the problem with our collective mindset, generally speaking, is all we got to do is go to the polls. No. America is for sale. Y'all better start buying these politicians, up to and including the one that's on this dais with me. Because my mama used to say this all the time. I said, Mom, how come you don't take out loans? She says, once I owe you, then you own me. And then I'm up to doing whatever you want me to do. Right? That's what an elected official is supposed to be doing anyway. And that's why you have all these lobbyists. That's why you have all these corporate oligarchs doing all of this craziness. Right? If you think Bill Gates is your friend, to piggyback on Royce's point, look up Appeal, APPEL, and then get back to me. You've got to start looking at what they're not showing you. So they'll put a ditty in your face to distract you from the fact that they're diddling you to the point where you're about to be replaced. Because let's look at this mathematically. Let's pretend that we're writing a drama on Hulu or Apple TV Plus for a minute. And let's say that drama has the same type of vibe of A Handmaid's Tale, but this is a little bit more illusion of democracy. So what we need to do is our normal everyday voting base that we've been able to count on for the past 60 years consistently at an 82 to 95% clip is starting to defect. They're starting to wake up. We have two options. We can either give them what they want as their representative government, or here's a better one. Let's get some people who are poor. Let's get some people who don't read as much. Let's get some people who also have a huge part of their population that destabilizes economies because they are hungry and they are gang-filled and they're coming from all different types of cabals and cartels and so on and so forth. And then let's give them everything. Let's train them. Let's educate them. Let's feed them. Let's take care of their kids. Let's put them up in high-rises, hotels, and apartment complexes. And you know what? We'll slowly but surely start having little pockets of them become police officers. And then we'll have little things that we know most people won't pay attention to in the voting booth. Like, do you think it's okay if we do HR 395-Q3 hashtag this in order to allow migrants on the idea of the preposition that they should be able to vote without citizenship? What the hell did I just say? Sounds like you're just going to say, okay, boom. Now all of a sudden they got voting rights, which means that we're now irrelevant as a voting bloc. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but that's sure what it feels like. So at what point are we going to start saying to ourselves, you know what? We are going to put ourselves in a position financially where we are taking our power and we're saying we're going to put our money and our vote behind the people who are going to do what we need them to do. And if not, we're going to go to the other guy. And if he doesn't do it, we're going to go back to y'all to give y'all another chance. Or we're just going to build up our own candidate, put a whole bunch of marketing behind them, and then prop them up to pretend to be whatever we need the general public to believe that they are so that they can do our bidding. Sort of like if I were to just take somebody from California who was sleeping with a guy 30 years her senior, who had absolutely no political experience, and then I just thrust her into position after position after position, and I tell her to say these things in sound bites, and that starts to take hold, and then the next thing you know, we start to tell the mainstream media to tell the current vice president that when he runs for election, he needs to get a black woman. And he can choose between some slack-jawed big backs, or he can choose between this person that's, has enough complexion to pass muster like a male counterpart. And then we can just let her sit up there and say, I grew up in a middle-class household in Canada. I mean, I'd watch that show. How about y'all?
We live in the show.
No.
Hey, if you guys haven't checked out that book, you really should check it out. Guys, for everybody that's tapping in, make sure you hit the like button. I want you guys to we're going to save this. We're going to make sure that this is spread all over the internet. I want you guys to make sure that you are following the two brothers that are on the screen. I want you to make sure that you're following Adrian Norman, DC, as well. I want you to think about the things that are being said tonight. I want you to evaluate them. I don't just want you to either blindly agree with them, nor do I want you to blindly or openly dismiss them. I legitimately want you to evaluate the things that are being said. I want you to get behind the people if you find some sort of value in what these brothers are saying. I want you to 1,000% subscribe to their platforms, and I want you to support them with money. Like everyone's saying here, the game is I want the person that speaks for me, a collective of representatives that speak for the actual interest of the people. And if have brothers that are doing this in different lanes, this is how we tend to push that back. This is a game of our guy has a bigger war chest. Mm-hmm. Our guy, we got behind these people and we made sure that they had a bigger war chest. Because if they're already principled or or their business and their acumen and their politic is in alignment with what our supposedly constitutionally protected values are, then it's not going to be a struggle when they're in the position. But if that person they get to DC, they get to this, or they get to this job, or they get to this location, now they have to compromise their principles a little bit, and that's how it starts. This is not a game. This is technically, it's a chessboard. I want everybody to tap into the Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski. Mm-hmm. Check out the book. Pay attention to the game because you're getting moved all over the chessboard in all kind of wild ways. It's very important. I want to take a few more questions for you both. Some of this stuff you guys already touched on a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a very interesting question because we're primarily talking about black men right now because we've kind of been at the center of the scope, pun intended, right? Mm-hmm. We're the folks that they're saying, you guys are stepping out of line, okay? Mm-hmm. And we're not going to not step back in line. The vast majority of strong dudes that are automatically being very, very vocal and saying, I can't go with homegirl. I'm not with her. I'm going to go Trump this go around or whoever they choose, right? Some of those brothers I know that identify as pro-black are like, I'm riding with Cornel West this go around. I know he's not going to win, but I want to cast my individual vote for that person, whatever that looks like, right? Mm-hmm. And in doing so, this thought process, because we are talking about black men, but we need black women just as well. Mm-hmm. How do y'all think that black women will react to this shift when we continue to go in the direction of conservative, limited government, defend the republic values? Because that's what the trajectory looking like. Does that How do you think those women will respond? And does it negatively impact the unity between male-female relationships?
Ooh, okay, real quick, because I got to bounce, but I want to touch on this real quick.
Okay.
To quote one of the largest box office draws in history, it doesn't matter what they think, because we're going to do what makes sense, and eventually they will either fall in line or they won't. And here's the thing: when we warned our sisters 45, 50 years ago that the CIA agent known as Gloria Steinem was coming around talking about, hey, you're a woman before you're black, come join our movement, feminism, yay! All the while, all of a sudden, the IRS now has double the amount of individuals paying taxes, because now women are burning their bras and going into the workplace, and they've been sold a bill of goods about being strong and independent while being independent on daddy government the whole time. So I am not designed to follow a woman when it comes to what my individual choices are. You know what I'm saying? I take counsel from my mother, I take counsel from my aunties, I take counsel from my wife, but my decisions are my decisions. I am the head of my household at all costs. And if I'm not the head of my household, I'm going to get a new household. However, we're exceptional. We're not the rule. The other part of that is we see how well feminism has worked out for them, because it's so funny when black newscasters are talking about in newsrooms, they're being critiqued by their white male general managers for what they do with their hair or how their bodies look. Go ahead and ask Demetria Obalor, go ask Lauren Johnson, go ask Alex Holly, go ask any black newscaster if they've not had these issues with white general managers in broadcasting. I didn't see feminism stepping up for them. Where was feminism for Sandra Bland? I'm just asking, if you care about black mothers and black women, where's the feminist coming around Tamir Rice's mama who still ain't got justice? Help me understand how feminism works, because if your vagina is more important than your bloodline, then why don't they show up for you when you're sitting up here talking about this, that, and the third? And I'm sorry, where's feminism where you now have women being cast as birthing people and breastfeeding people? Don't worry, I'll wait. So if you want me to get behind that cuckoo train, you're going to have to count me out like New Edition.
My brother, I know you got to get out of here.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you tremendously for tapping in, my brother. Y'all, I want to be very clear. Y'all gave me about 2-3 weeks worth of content and clips already. Yeah. So I want to thank y'all tremendously. Everybody, make sure that you follow the Business Bully. Reach out, communicate, take some courses, get behind the people that tap in when the call is sent out, because as we said, it ain't a lot of us, but you know, sometimes less is plenty. I appreciate you, my brother.
I appreciate you, man. I really want to do this again where I can sit down and we really just sit down and bust it up. Royce, God bless you, brother. I hope you win. I want to do everything I possibly can to help and assist, man. Let's make sure we connect. And then for everybody who's new to me, I'm a business coach. I help start, grow, and scale black businesses. Not specifically, but that's the majority of what I do. If you're not familiar, tap in with my content or tap in with the Patreon. Everything is at the Business Bully. I ain't that hard to find. And if somebody's mad about what I said, they know where I am. Shout out to Plies. He'd be all right. So I'll see y'all when I see y'all, man. Thank you so much.
All right, peace,
all right,
bro.
Thank you, man.
All right. Okay, Royce.
Yeah.
What we gonna do, man? The women might be mad at us, men folk.
No, well, I was gonna say that the trend line is already there. That, you know, I saw the other day on, I think it was CNN, where they showed that Kamala Harris is 40 points behind where Barack Obama was in 2009 in terms of the black male vote, 18 to 44. But they also went on to show the trend line of black women, and black women are leaving slower, but also leaving. So I think black women are going to start to follow. The funny thing is, you and I both know how women operate culturally. When women decide that they're done with something and they change their mind, it happens all at once. It's an avalanche, right? And so here's the thing about the women's coalition. And here's the thing about women in general. You gotta make good on your promises. You have to you have to deliver. And that goes for a man, that goes for two women in a relationship. I'm not condoning or advocating. I'm just saying what it is. There's a lot of different types of relationships out there, but with women, you have to deliver. And it, for the most part. Now, there are some women out there who aren't, who are ride or die, who are down no matter what, and those ones should be protected and cherished and put up on a pedestal that they deserve, because it's a rarity. But for the most part, you got to deliver with women, and the Democrat Party can deliver what they promised. Right? You can't say at the same, we're going to protect Black single mothers, but we're going to inflate the cost of living to a point where if you don't have a proper credit score, we're not going to let you rent an apartment. Well, where are they going to live? You're right. I mean, or we're going to let illegal immigrants get first dibs and priority on the Section 8 housing or the low income housing. Right. And so you're starting to see even Black women go, wait a minute, we were in on the deal as long as we got our cut. But if we can't get our cut, we're going to have to make other choices as well. Now, what they've been able to do successfully so far is maintain a cultural narrative that tells Black women, even though we can't give you your cut, don't worry, it's coming. We got you. That's who Kamala Harris is. See, Kamala Harris is intended to serve as an example or as a future promise, an IOU to Black women, that even though we're cutting back on everything that's going to change your standard of living, your basic quality of life, you could still become president. And doesn't that say something for your future? And when that train runs out, when they, let's say Kamala Harris wins, let's say they cheat or people don't come to vote for their own interests or whatever the scenario is, let's say she wins. When Black women go through what Black men went through with Barack Obama, the Democrat Party will be broken forever. And that's why I'm sitting here at 33 years old running for U.S. Senate. I'm the youngest Senate nominee in the country, first one born in the 1990s. I'm just sitting back licking my chops going, because I know fundamentally they cannot provide, they cannot deliver what they promised, at least not to the material standard that they've created in your average person's mind, right? Your average woman thinks that she should not have to have any real educational skills, but she should still, I mean, we're going into the Kevin Samuels, psychology of things, but it really showed us a lot. Kevin Samuels showed us a lot that your average woman and Black woman has a warped expectation of the life that she either wants or wants delivered to her. Well, the government is responsible for that. And if the government's going to take up that mantle, they're going to have to deliver on that expectation. Now, what will they have to do to the rest of us in order to deliver a fantasy that they've created or incentivized in the Black woman's mind? They're not going to be able to do it, not in 4 years. And watch how ornery these Black women get when they think things are going to change because they got a Black woman and she don't deliver. Watch how ornery, watch how quick, woman on woman gossip and violence is even more vicious than man on man. We even could look at Barack Obama and we went, you know what? We know that he didn't really do nothing for us and he didn't really come from us. He's more of an Ivy League elitist sellout. We know it, but we understand that there are other forces at work. That was what Farrakhan said at the Black Congressional Caucus, or the thing that they did with Tavis Smiley back when Barack was first elected. He said, we know there are powers around the power. And he was right. Now, I think Obama's a little bit higher up that trough than Farrakhan gave credit for at that time, but none of us could have really known that then. But my point is, men even gave Barack a certain pass. Women ain't going to give Kamala that pass, I guarantee.
No, not at all. I think that it gets very vicious. It's, Chris Rock made a joke a while ago. He said, even a woman that's with you, you lose your job, she going to stay with you. But the countdown has begun.
There you go. Amen.
No doubt. And so, all right, we sell a few things. And when that sand start going out that hourglass, when she starts saying, well, we'll sell a few things, she start talking about your stuff first. Be very, very clear on that. And so I don't understand if let's say there is no power behind the power, which there is, but let's just best case scenario, right? Yeah. I don't see how power behind the power or no power, no Geppetto or Geppetto. This is obvious. This is obvious that these things are not sustainable. I mean, life has already happened for eons, and we've seen when the republics turn into the empire and the empire's doing 8 of the 10 things that the failed empire prior to said, don't do these 10 things. And then they do 8 and they start falling. It's clear that we went from being Leonidas, I mean America and the government, maybe not the people. If the people are participating in it, it's because of our ignorance and apathy. But if the school and the systems are designed to make you ignorant and apathetic, then, it's a cycle. But nonetheless, it's clear that we went from being Leonidas to being Xerxes and the Persians. We in the movie 300. We're that. Right. It's almost, I don't see why or how they would continue to play it this way, because she is not sustainable. Even I watched some earlier videos of her when she was over in Cali. She was even sharper then. Let's say maybe 15 years ago. She was sharper then. We're looking at almost a decline in her cognitive speech and her thinking, the cackling, her age. Maybe it's just the meat grinder that politics is. But I always stop to think, like, you guys really think that this is going to work, to your point, as it relates to other women? Because even if they play in girl code for a moment, girl code, that due date shows up. And it becomes, okay, well, what do we get? To your point, I just do not see how they attempt to pass that off. Yeah, They're barely doing a good enough job right now of passing it off.
Yeah.
Generally. So, like, what is the end game after that? Because I don't see that being sustainable at all.
Well, I'll tell you, there's 2 layers here. The layer I was talking about, where they use this sort of black girl magic, women's feminist identity to drive the narrative, is much different than that top layer of intellectual thought leaders that are actually pulling the strings. And it's funny you mentioned the Devil's Chessboard, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Mika Brzezinski's dad. I mean, Morning Mika's right there with Joe Scarborough, still to this day being the mouthpiece of New World Order. So that tells you that the strings are real, right? There's no better example than Zbigniew Brzezinski. In fact, Zbigniew Brzezinski is the architect, that you could say, or the father of the post-World War II democratic liberal order. And you can go back and you can watch him interviewed by William F. Buckley on Firing Line, PBS Firing Line, back in the day. And he sat right up there and shilled that communism wasn't an ideological threat, that the fight with Russia that we were going through then, the Cold War we were still in then with Russia, the real threat of the Russians wasn't ideological. It wasn't communism. It was strictly military. And you see how powerful he was then as a thought leader, because we're still structured that way today. Right? We're no longer worried about communism from Stalinist Russia. Now we're just fighting them on a geographical and military basis. Okay? I'm just saying that to set the stage of who Zbigniew is. But what that level, that Zbigniew Brzezinski level, is actually doing, this is all a litmus test. Running Kamala Harris out there is to see how stupid the American people actually are, so they can bring forward the next thing. Right. That's what they're doing at their level. Now, what they pass down to the Joy-Ann Reids to disseminate is just, cannon fodder for the sheep. But their strategy long term is, let's see. It was 2020. It was the COVID. It was the pandemic. Then it was the vaccine. And now it's these wars that have no justification or end. And now it's going to be Kamala Harris. Right. And so that's what their strategy is long term. Let's continue. And it's not, this ain't a conspiracy theory. Right. Why do people think they went after the children? Right. Why do people think they're going after the young people? They have committed to systematically brainwash future generations at a higher clip, a higher rate, more blatantly in their efforts, because they know that with the rise of technology and access to information, more and more people are going to naturally become curious, distrusting, skeptical, and then leave the narrative. But they're going to try and bring up an entire generation that doesn't know any better, that doesn't remember a time when we had free speech or the Second Amendment, or and that can happen in just a generation or two. People got to understand, it's a slippery slope. Once you cross that event horizon, shit goes bad quick. So Kamala, for that level, that highest top level, the Kissingers, now Kissinger's dead, but no Yuval Harari, Klaus Schwab, those global intellectuals, their thing is, let's see how stupid people are. so we can then go back and gauge how we move next and what we can roll out next on.
100%. Listen, my brother, I think that's a solid place to land. I want everybody to make sure you are following Royce's page. I want you to support Royce and his Senate run with money. Money. I'm with y'all on the morals. If you're watching the show every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m., you're watching the Maj Toure show, I'll roll a dice on you that morally and principally we are in alignment. That's great. I'll roll a dice that you're in alignment with what Royce is about. That's not a hard bet for me. It's probably not a bet if you tapped into the show. But we want you to tap in and support the folks financially. When we're talking about the very few principled folks that are willing. Again, I ran a city council race and I was like, what the hell? Okay. So when we have people that say, not only am I going to run, I'm going to rumble and I'm going to fight and I'm going to be principled and objective doing it. When we have those folks, we need to fill their coffers with, make that war chest solid. Make it solid. I want people to be able to be in a space where they go, yeah, you might want to run against Royce after he's in there, but he got a solid war chest. I want people to be just as afraid. It's the same thing with Thomas Massey. Okay, if you want to run against him, hey, if that's what you want to do, but you're throwing your money down the drain. We need to make sure that we're getting behind our champions and our folks and the folks that support our channel, our work, so forth and so on. So I appreciate you, brother, for tapping in tremendously. Let the folks know where they can actually donate towards the work.
Yeah. RoyceWhite.us, that's my campaign website. And like I said, I'm the first Black person to be endorsed for United States Senate by either major party here in Minnesota, first nominee as well. And if I'm elected, I'll be the youngest member of the United States Senate, be a true America firster in my policy and in my commitment to the people who support me is simple. I can't promise you that I'm going to be able to change 100 people's minds on all of these global policies that have been in place forever. But I can stand up there and filibuster, and I can stand up there and make sure that the American people have a solid understanding of what their legislators are really trying to pass and use that microphone to that end. And hopefully then some of these people will get voted out in the next cycle and we can start to flood others in so we can pass that majority legislation. So that's my goal. RoyceWhite.us. You can follow the podcast. Please call me crazy. I'm on Real America's Voice Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern, and obviously social media and X. But I appreciate you, brother. Always love.
Same here, my brother. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, my man.
All right, peace. Solutionaries. This is what you get. You tap in. You get great minds. You get hardworking men. You get folks that are pushing for the America First agenda. You get folks that are willing to be honest, that are willing to be objective. This is what our show is about. I want to make sure that you all are tapping in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. The Maj Toure show. We changed it from Solutionary. It's called the Maj Toure show now. Tap in, guys. I didn't focus on too much of the fundraising and the super chats. Guys, listen. Everybody that's watching this, if you're watching it on X, share it all over the place, obviously. If you're watching it on youtube.com/Maj Toure, share it all over the place. If you are watching it on rumble.com, same thing. But I want everybody that's watching it, everybody, when you come across this, we have a huge amount to get to secure our November and December classes. Texas, California. We cannot just, the election's over, we get to tap out, regardless of who wins or loses. We need to make sure that we're talking about civics, we're talking conflict resolution, we're talking Second Amendment, we're talking firearm safety. California, Texas, 14 cities, 2 states. We need 1,000 folks to donate at the $20 level. Go over to givesingo.com/solutionary, that link right up under me. Everybody, if you got some value from the show, it's worth $20. You got $20. If we get 1,000 folks tonight to donate at the $20 level, we won't have to work as hard all the way up until Sunday. givesingo.com/solutionary. You get access to an online class, civics, firearms training, or understanding imminent threat. You choose, but it's going to be your choice. Again, guys, givesendgo.com/solutionary. I will see you all tomorrow on the Maj Toure show at 6 p.m. Eastern. Be safe. Be solutionary.